Mother Rosario finally begins. Oh, I have waited for this art to be animated for a long time. I remember when I read this in the light novel, how I pictured it as an anime. And I mean, to see how this arc is finally being animated, my hype and my feels are ready. My body is ready for this arc. I want to say it right now. So this episode, solid episode to begin the Mother Rosario arc. I mean, the way they did the introduction, the way A1 Pictures animated the introduction was solid. Fucking solid. Oh my god. They honestly, I think, explained it a lot better, to some extent, than even the light novel did. This episode, I think, actually added in some filler scenes to make it better. I don't know if it's just me. I mean, I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've actually read this arc in the light novel, but I'll discuss that towards the end of this episode. But this episode, the introductions, setup, exposition of Mother Rosario. That's pretty much what this episode is. It showcases the overall slight little objective in sight. You don't know the full grasp of this arc, you don't know the full objective, but right now, it's the setup for the upcoming episodes of Mother Rosario. If you do not know yet, the rest of Sword Art Online Season 2 is going to be this arc. The rest of this season is going to be Mother Rosario, which is very good because Mother Rosario is only one volume long. So, this is brilliant. A good amount of episodes to finish one individual arc. So right there, that is great. I'm so happy right now that Mother Rosario is being adapted completely, because with the episodes that we have left, that's clearly enough episodes to give this a proper adaptation as it deserves. So, this episode, the main core concept, as you can see here from this episode, is Zaken. Zaken is introduced in this episode. We don't really get to see Zaken's face. We don't really get to see much about him. We just see the armor, the purplish looking armor, and we found out that Zaken has this original sword skill that can do 11 hit combos consecutively. Now here is the part they really did not explain when it comes to this episode, so I actually want to dive deeper into it. They kind of explained it, but they didn't at the exact same time. At the beginning of the episode, when we had our favorite bartender explaining the new updates, all the new stuff that came into ALO, pretty much they mentioned original sword skills, but for some reason it wasn't really discussed properly in this episode. Like, it didn't even seem like they really tried to explain original sword skills. So let me dive into this to explain anime-only watchers if you do not understand. Original sword skills is a new mechanic that's been added into the game, and original sword skills means, like, you can make your own sword skills, like your own combos, pretty much. And you have to do it in a certain pace in order to be able to have it register as a move. And when you do, you have, like, I guess a recipe, like something, you know, in an MMORPG when you have a recipe for a skill, or, like, something you want to use, like a technique. Well, pretty much, since you're the owner of the technique, you will have that skill. And if you want to, you can pass this skill on to other people without them having to make a skill. Like, having to repeat this and try to learn it. They can just instantly learn the skill from you if you want them to learn it, and that means they can use that technique as if it was a regular sword technique. That's pretty much what an original sword skill is. And the reason why it's so crazy for the technique that Zaken is using is because it's 11 hit fucking combo consecutive. That's actually insane amount of hits. Because you have to constantly do this. Like, you gotta manually move yourself to actually use sword skills, like the original sword skills. You gotta manually attack, which you have no assistance from the game. You have no assistance, movement assistance, so it's really hard. I mean, you really gotta know how to maneuver the sword, and you gotta have good reaction and speed like that. And that's why Kirito, they really didn't explain in the first season, why he had to use, like, original sword techniques to fight the admin. That's pretty much why. But either way, getting off the topic of Season 1, the real reason of the original sword skills, the reason why it's so crazy, is because of the amount of hits. And you can make your own combo. So there you go. I'm just explaining it right there, so if you don't know original sword skills, now you do. So moving on past that bit. The episode, for the most part, besides the original sword skills, they did a damn good job. They did a really damn good job with this episode. I really have no complaints. It was a good episode. The animation was nice, the fighting was nice, the overall setup of it and the foreshadowing and the hints of the plot for the future episodes was properly placed. I easily keyed in on that, and that was amazing. I love that. A1 Pictures, damn good job with that foreshadowing, certain foreshadowing elements in this episode. Now, one thing I will say, the big things you should probably pay attention to is the ending part with Zaken, how Kirito admits if Zaken was in SAO, when they were trapped in SAO in Season 1, he would have been given the dual-wielding skill. As we know, that was explained, the dual-wielding skill was given to the player that had the quickest and fastest reaction time, and that's why it was given to Kirito. But in this episode, we find out that this person, Zaken, if this person was in SAO, this person would have had the dual-wielding skill, because that's how fast this person is, and how quick reaction time this person has. Just imagine that. Just put that in perspective real quick. That is how strong this person is. So, this person is no fucking joke at all. Who is this person? Why wasn't this person at SAO? How did this person get so good? That is the question we have to wonder. That's the big question we have to wonder. That is one of the big setups you all need to pay attention to. Another thing past that, we get a little bit of foreshadowing towards whatever happened to Asuna. For instance, Asuna lays down a little bit of drops in this episode about her family. Like, when she was in SAO, she didn't care about going back to the real world. Honestly, she didn't. She, at some points in times when she was actually stuck in SAO, she forgot about her real life because she had nothing to go back to. She didn't really cherish her family. Her family was just either mean to her or something like that, and that is why she didn't really care about going back. And so, in this episode, you see some flashbacks to this entire event. You also see it to where Asuna's having a hard time. It looks like her parents are trying to force her into marriage, because we've already seen examples like this. I mean, look at first season, when we got to see the fucking crazy elf king. Remember the fairy king or whatever? He's like, I'm gonna rape you, that type of shit. You remember him. Well, that dude, as we know, was trying to marry Asuna because of a marriage, a political type marriage, because of the father forcing Asuna to marry him. And as you can see in this episode, Asuna has once again more flashbacks to show that other people were trying to marry her. So clearly, Asuna's parents have something against her and Kirito, as you can key in on this. Because we don't know how far these events go back, but clearly from what we saw in this flashback, it had to be very recent. And it still seems like she doesn't care at all about her parents, so it shows you that there's something else going on in Asuna's house. So, we don't know exactly what the parents think about Asuna and her relationship with MMOs, since she's still deciding to dive into ALO. We don't know how her parents feel about Kirito. We don't know none of this. So that is the big question, and that's the big setup for this arc that you can really get from this episode that everybody will probably key in on first place. Now, besides that, okay, there's a couple other things that I liked about this episode. For one thing, the way they added in a little bit of filler scenes. Now, this is the point I was talking about earlier on in this review. I don't know necessarily if it was all filler. I know it wasn't and isn't. Like, it isn't, but some of it was. Let me explain. It's been a while. It's been a long time, like 2.5 years since I've read Mother Rosario. It's been a while, okay? I don't remember all the events from Mother Rosario. I don't. I'd be lying to you if I said I did. But I don't think that the raid when we saw Asuna and Kirito fighting on the 22nd floor or 21st floor, they're fighting on the 21st floor's boss to get to the 22nd floor to get the house, the cabin. I don't think that was actually ever shown in the light novel. For instance, in the light novel, it was briefly covered. Like, they quickly rushed through the boss to get up to the log cabin to purchase it. That's pretty much what happened in the light novel. If I remember correctly, that's what the dialogue was. They just explained they rushed in the floor boss, and then they got the house, and they didn't care anymore about the floor bosses that was left. They didn't care at all. They just wanted to get that house because it was their house from the original SAO. And so they kind of added filler in that scene, which is not bad. Actually, that is really damn good, because that adds more fluff that overall gives us more emotions for this arc. It really does. This arc is directed towards Asuna. I'm just going to say right now, this is an arc completely centered on her, and it's for her character development and her personality and all stuff like that. So, hopefully, after this arc, there will be a lot of fans of Asuna, because everybody hates Asuna from the first season. I understand why. I completely understand. I can't defend her in the anime terms. In anime terms from the first season, yeah, I can understand why there's certain haters of her. I can. But when it comes to light novels, her character's a lot better. And after this arc, it's really good. It's really, really good, her character development. So, overall, great. Great episode. Solid episode. 8 out of 10, in my opinion. Not perfect, because of the original sword skills, like the entire information, but nothing is perfect. Nothing can be adapted completely 100%, but at the very least, the point got across. Nothing was really massively changed. It doesn't ruin the plot. The animation was great. The music was great. I love the fight. Oh my god, the fight was nice. So yeah, wonderful episode. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.